Here's Klay Thompson up top without the ball. He spots Jordan Poole guarding him and decides it's gym time, muscling him kind of like a big brother move right into Chris Paul's screen. Oops, now Poole's stuck. With Poole busy figuring out what to do next, Klay strolls over to the perimeter, gets the ball from Kuminga like he's picking up his morning coffee, and then boom, he nails a three-pointer just like throwing paper into a trash can. Splash, splash, butter, baby. After that move, all Jordan Poole could do was give Klay a look and say, "Man, I used to do that stuff 2 years ago. Time flies, huh?" Guys, I had this game marked with a big red circle on my calendar because it was the first showdown between Draymond Green and Jordan Poole since the Warriors decided Green was their guy and Poole got an all-expenses-paid trip to the other side of the country. But unfortunately, nothing juicy happened between them. Talk about anticlimactic. But still, it was absolutely entertaining nonetheless because this video might be titled "The Warriors Sent Jordan Poole Back to the Shadow Realm," but if I had to be real, it should have probably been titled "Jordan Poole Sent Himself Back to the Shadow Realm." And if you're scratching your head thinking, what in the world is he talking about? Hang tight, because I'm about to lay it all out for you. Heading into this game, Poole and the Wizards weren't exactly on a hot streak. They were on a cold streak, 11 games long to be exact. Now, I know the Pistons have been the butt of the joke all season, but the Wizards are dangerously close to snatching that title for themselves this season, which hilariously is exactly what I guessed would happen right from the start. But back to the point. They were desperate for a win, hungrier than a bear after hibernation. And who do they have to face? None other than Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green, the very guy who, let's just say, gave Jordan Poole a warm welcome to the Shadow Realm with that infamous Superman punch a few years ago. On top of everything, Jordan Poole was riding the wave of his best game with the Wizards, dropping 31 points with the kind of precision that would have Steph Curry nodding in approval. It was a big moment at home, his chance for a little payback against Draymond and the Warriors, and boy, did he start with a bang or what. His first shot, a deep three right in Curry's face. Then, before you know it, he's making Klay Thompson look like he's stuck in the mud, breezing past him for an easy layup. For a moment I thought, wowza, Poole's not just playing tonight, he's on a vendetta. And then, suddenly, it became crystal clear why the Warriors decided to trade him. Within a mere 3 minutes, Jordan Poole notched 3 turnovers. And as if on cue, the Warriors pinpointed him on defense, compounding his frustration. His attempts to counteract this with numerous shots mostly fell short. The Warriors, on the other hand, were starting to mount their comeback.
Klay Thompson 3, GP2, he didn't miss that dunk.
Right then, it was as if the warning signs began to show themselves clearly. Fortunately for the Wizards, they managed to hold on to a lead after the first quarter. However, their relief was short-lived because the second quarter was about to start. As for the Shadow Realm, it was becoming all too real for Jordan Poole. Because just as the second quarter kicked off, Jordan Poole's night took another turn. He fouled Trayce Jackson-Davis and then broke into a dance for the referees that left everyone scratching their heads. It was as if he was trying to sing, "From the window to the wall." Then after that, the Warriors shifted into high gear, scorching the Wizards with a fiery 37 points. No moment topped the spectacle created by Moses Moody, who sent Landry Shamet tumbling to the floor before sinking a three-pointer right over him. An absolute showstopper of a play.
Washington shooting 52%. Moody pulls it back and hits a three.
It was a classic display of their strength in numbers mantra, with 22 of those points coming from their bench, energized by Chris Paul's return. The point guard was everywhere, orchestrating the quarter with masterful control.
How did this guy miss 21 games and come back and play this well?
However, defense seemed to be an afterthought for both teams as the Wizards responded with 33 points of their own. By halftime, it was time to regroup. No use crying over spilled milk. Both teams retreated to plot their second-half strategies. The scoreboard showed a tight game, just a 2-point difference, and Jordan Poole, well, he still had his chance for vengeance. He was just half a game away from potentially dominating the headlines, poised for a comeback that could ripple across the NBA. But, as fate would have it, things didn't quite follow the script Poole had in mind. First off, to start the second half, the Warriors morphed into a spectacle reminiscent of the Harlem Globetrotters, dazzling everyone at Capital One Arena with their electrifying gameplay. Sheesh, guys, that was something else. Gradually, the Warriors began to overpower the Wizards, with Poole finding himself right in the middle of the storm, visibly displeased with how things were turning out. Then from there, it wasn't long before Poole fell back into familiar patterns. In a showdown with his former mentor, STEPH, Poole attempted a flashy move likely aimed for Instagram glory. Unfortunately, what was meant to be a highlight reel ended up as a low light, not living up to the hype. Adding to the irony, in his next move, Poole opted for simplicity with a corner three, only to miss the mark entirely. Shortly after, Poole must have thought, third time's the charm, but unfortunately for him, it just wasn't meant to be. Because seriously, what the heck was this attempt even about? At this moment, it was painfully obvious Poole was completely out of sync. I mean, look at this scene. Every Wizard is dialed in, playing man-to-man defense, except for Poole, who's wandering in the paint, seemingly forgetting he's supposed to be guarding Chris Paul, who's all alone on the perimeter, probably thinking, really? Before effortlessly hitting an uncontested three. Attempting to break free from this mental rut, Poole soon went for an ambitious play, aiming to slice through two defenders to the basket. But in a twist of fate, his tendency to palm the ball reemerged, leading to another turnover. At that moment, Jordan Poole essentially escorted himself to the Shadow Realm, because not only did he commit a turnover, but he also earned himself a technical foul, gifting Klay Thompson a trip to the free throw line. Another day, another dollar for number 11. And oh man, that was just the spark Klay needed. Suddenly, Klay was unstoppable, hitting shot after shot. Watching Klay come off the bench is like witnessing a storm brewing. It's dangerous. Remember his 20-something point spree in 2 quarters against the Nuggets? Or the 35-point onslaught against Utah? Well, against Poole and the Wizards, Klay unleashed 13 points in the third quarter alone, sinking 4 out of 5 from three-point land. Since he was on fire, defenders clung to him like glue, setting the stage for some highlight reel moments from Kuminga.
Now Kuminga!
The third quarter ended with the Warriors up by 23 points, outscoring the Wizards 38-17. And just like that, any chance of Poole's revenge seemed to fly right out the window, or so it seemed at that moment. Just 2 minutes into the fourth quarter, after Poole nailed a finger roll layup, the game suddenly tightened to just a 13-point difference. But then, Curry decided it was time to shake off the cobwebs, saying enough is enough, as he poured in 10 of his 18 points in that decisive final quarter. Unfortunately for Poole and the Wizards, trying to mimic Curry's shooting magic didn't exactly work in their favor. It seemed like every time Poole slipped up, the Warriors were right there to take advantage, turning mistakes into opportunities. And with that, the Warriors clinched their 30th victory of the season. As for the Wizards, that painful 11-game losing streak stretched to 12, landing them in a tie with the Pistons for the league's worst record. Post-game, I couldn't resist diving into the fan reaction zone to gauge the buzz about the match, and here's the scoop I found. Haven't seen Poole look that good for us since Boston. Jordan Poole had a very Jordan Poole game. And last but not least, classic case of plus-minus not being very meaningful. Poole a +8 while shooting 5 for 17 and committing 6 turnovers? LOL. Listen, fans can be jerks, but they're absolutely hilarious. Overall, it was a decent match, but wow, there was zero drama between Draymond and Poole this time around. The only moment Draymond really faced off against Poole was at the game's tail end, and by then, play had already stopped for a Wizards timeout, plus the game was way out of reach. It was a letdown in that regard because after that 2K video went viral of Poole sinking a 3 over Draymond, everyone was hoping for some on-court fireworks between them. To be totally upfront, I'd bet Steve Kerr or someone else from the Warriors front office probably had a word with Draymond to ensure absolutely nothing went down this game. The last thing Golden State needs right now is another indefinite suspension handed out to Draymond. Regardless of the lack of drama, this game wasn't a highlight for Poole. At this point, his season feels like the scene from John Wick where he's endlessly tumbling down the stairs, unable to catch a break. However, sadly for Poole, this ain't the movies.